3 months ago, I thought I was over this. I was, it turns out, way too confident, arrogant about, in fact. Then I had a fallback, a bad one. I got caught, my marriage was severely strained. I am now clean, but nowhere as stupidly confident as before. I realize I am and always will be an addict, but I will be a recovering addict. To all,
Hmm.
overconfidence can do a lot of harm. We must be humble when facing our addiction. No place for cockiness when remission comes. Thank you for that statement. We really appreciate it because there's a lot of truth to that. Because we start thinking, oh yeah, we can push the edge, we can go closer to that cliff, when in actuality, that's when we get in trouble. So thank you for stating that.
Yeah, that's a very good comment. That's a very interesting point. I think, I mean, it seems to me that the reason that was shared was because there was a desire to help other people to understand the importance of putting relapse in perspective, number one, and number two, understanding that it is possible to be overconfident about your ability to overcome something. Now, having said that, I certainly don't want to take away from the ability that we have to master something. We do have the ability to master something over the course of our lives. I'm a firm believer in the fact that everything that we do is a lifelong process of becoming better and mastering things. Whether it's inside of the world of addiction recovery or not, whether it's more broad than that, I believe that everything we do is a lifelong process of mastery. Quick analogy, maybe two analogies actually. One is I'm also a musician. I play the piano. One of my passions in life is to play music, and so that's something that I think of immediately when I think of mastering something. I think of the idea behind that. I feel like I'm pretty skilled on the piano at this point in my life since I've been playing since I was a young child. But at the same time, I know that there are others in the world who are better than me. They're more skilled than I am. There are musical pieces that are written that I can't play, that I would have to really, really try hard to be able to master those. And so I see that as a lifelong process to develop the talent. And in a similar way, I think addiction recovery is a lifelong process. So that's one point. The second point is the idea behind addressing relapse and being able to move forward from relapse. When I talk to clients about relapse, I definitely like to reinforce the idea that relapse brings with it a new opportunity. All is not lost with relapse. There's another analogy that I frequently refer to with clients, and that is the idea of someone climbing a mountain. We use safety ropes when we're climbing, and the reason for that is that if we fall, the rope will catch us so that we don't fall dangerously far and potentially injure ourselves or worse. And the same is true in terms of addiction recovery. We put safety measures in place. We put strategies in place and steps toward recovery to try to help us move forward. And sometimes we'll slip and fall. In fact, I would say that relapse is generally expected as a part of recovery. Very few times can a client, a person, an individual move forward in the addiction recovery process and never slip. So that is a very real thing. On the other hand, there's a fine line between being confident and overly confident, as was mentioned in that question or that statement. I would agree that it is possible to be overconfident, but the reason why that's possible is because it's human nature to become complacent. That is human nature. It's part of who we are to say, well, all is well. And so as a result of all being well, I'm going to let my guard down a little bit, and I'm going to be okay, and hey, it's great, eat, drink, and be merry, that kind of a thing. And so once we do that, then the chances there, it increases to possibly have a relapse or an issue. So keep in mind that the brain is very powerful, And as we talk about the two parts of the brain with addiction recovery, we talk about one particular area of the brain. Many of you probably, as you've been learning more about addiction, have learned about the limbic system, the limbic part of the brain. It houses the instincts and the emotions and the memories, and all that stuff is processed in that area of the brain. And it's so incredibly powerful. It's very powerful. You think about the urge to survive. That's part of what's generated in that part of the brain, a survival instinct. So if we have a survival instinct that is so naturally powerful, it's also going to have a very powerful instinct to turn to something that is rewarding, like acting out in an addiction that has a temporary reward associated with it. So being overly confident can happen because we can say to ourselves, "Hey, we've overcome this instinct, this limbic part of our brain. We've mastered it," and oftentimes that can cause the limbic system to basically defend itself, and it'll say, "Hey, I'm going to defend myself here. I'm going to look out for me, do what's best for me," and so again, if we let the guard down a little bit, there's a chance for doing that. But anyway, ultimately, there's a strong. Every one of us has the strong ability to master things over our lives, and so I think it's very important to keep that in mind. That be cautiously optimistic. Have humble confidence is another way to put that. To say, yeah, I'm mastering this, I'm managing this, but it's never completed, so to speak. It's something that's always in the works.